Hey everybody, Shep here. Today is June 8th and we're going to do our first garden tour of the year. There's old Sid making his video appearance that he seems to be making in just about every video now. So we're down here in the lower garden by the corn crib, and I had got all of these gardens planted by May 30th, which is really cool. I don't know that I've gotten them planted that fast before. Really, for the most part, I planted the bulk of them on one day, whereas usually in the past I've planted a little bit here and a little bit there, but kind of had a marathon day where I had got everything planted. Like I said, I got most everything with the exception of the potatoes and onions planted on either May 29th or May 30th. May 29th was the last rain that we had, when it didn't really rain 1/10 of an inch. It kind of just rained enough to settle the dust, and it hadn't rained. It had been really dry until it rained yesterday. That's right. So it's the June 7th. So we had over a week where there was just no rain, and then yesterday it rained about 1/2 of an inch over several hour period. So it had nice good soaking in rain. So all these plants should be doing really good. I've watered a lot of the transplants since then just to kind of keep them good. But anyway, this first row here, we got some Mexican sunflowers, and there's a marigolds on the end, and we got those were some just extra tomato plants that I had. Those kind of stuck down there. Potatoes are doing real good. I'm real happy with how they are. I've mounded them or hilled them twice, so I think they're probably good there. This row is red Pontiacs, and this row is Kennebecks. So got 1 2/3 of a row of onions. All these are yellow onions, with the exception of two plants are red onions. I planted more, but the red onion seed was old, so that was kind of all that came up. The onions are looking pretty good now. I don't know if you can see, some of them have yellow, dead looking tips. Well, what happened was, after I planted these, I don't know what it was, if it was a groundhog or rabbits. That's pretty much the main animals that we have around here, other than Sid, who just caught something. What'd you catch, Sid? Looks like a vole, maybe, or a mouse. And that's why we have cats on the homestead. He catches stuff all the time. That looks like a vole. I didn't really know what a vole was until he started bringing these little mice, they're kind of bigger mice that have a real short tail. It's called a vole. Anyway, back to the garden tour. Make sure you kill it, Sid. That mockingbird doesn't like Sid around. Okay, sorry we're getting a little bit off topic. Those are peanuts. And then I had a row here of some carrots that I planted, but we had a little accident, so I'm going to replant the carrots there. That's kind of the only thing I don't have planted. The tomatoes, if you remember, in the greenhouse, they had gotten kind of spindly, but they're starting to really green up and look good now. I'll probably be putting the cages on them soon. And then the sweet corn's up. I had a video where I planted that. So I got 6 rows here. That's all bicolor. These 3 rows are ambrosia, and then those 3 rows are delectable. I planted them at the same time, and they should be ready 10 days apart. So we'll go look at another garden. So out here by the greenhouse, the rhubarb's doing pretty good. These plants kind of wilted back, but they're coming out of it. So this is obviously the best the rhubarb's ever done for me. Asparagus is big. The stuff that's standing up's 5.5 feet tall. Of course, a lot of it's laid over. But check these out. These are my strawberry plants. A couple of them gonna be blooming. I'll have to pinch those off. Those are strawberry plants I'm gonna be planting here soon. Most of them did okay. I wanted to do that so they could get established. And here's where I'm going to be planting them. I've tilled up a strip here. And I've kind of been holding off planting them just because it's been so dry. I knew they were going to need a lot of care. So here's kind of my idea. Here, this is kind of like my front yard where the greenhouse is. So I'm going to have a row of strawberries. Eventually, probably next year, I'm going to do another row. So I'll have 2 rows of strawberries. That I'll kind of alternate between, because from growing strawberries in the past, seemed like I got about 3 years out of them. So maybe every other year or so planting a new bed. And then also I want to have them. Then in this flat open area, I'm going to get some blackberries, some raspberries, and some blueberries, which I don't know if I've ever showed this off on video before. This is a blueberry plant that I planted probably 5-6 years ago and then kind of just left alone. I had 2 of them, but one of them died. I always heard you're supposed to plant blueberry bushes in 2, but as you can see, there's little berries on it. What usually happens, which it's had berries now the last 2 or 3 years, usually happens is these get where they're about ready, and then a bird comes in and wipes them all out, and I maybe end up with 2 or 3 berries, but it really needs to be pruned back. I've never taken care of it, but like I said, that's kind of my idea for this flat area over in here. Some kind of my berry area. All right, now I got the garden up here by the house. This first row is marigolds, Mexican sunflowers, basil, oregano, celery, just a bunch of kind of random things. This garden, I've got stuff really spaced out. This row here is watermelons, and these are cucumbers, or well, cucumbers are down there. Cucumbers, squash, zucchini. Then I had a couple extra watermelon plants I stuck down at that end. Got my pepper plants, which they kind of starting to do a little bit. And then down there I've got 5 sweet potato plants that my friend Ryan gave me. I've never really grown, well, I've only grown sweet potatoes one time, but I thought I'd try them. He had extra plants. And then the beans are coming up good. These first 3 rows here are Romas. They're a little bit spotty on that row, but I'm kind of thinking part of it was because it was really dry, and I don't know if there was quite as much moisture in the soil. So now that we got some rain, some still might germinate. And then this row that's really thick is the Great Northern beans, but there's a spot missing here on the end. And if you saw my planter video, I talked about how when you switch seed varieties, or well, put any kind of new seed in the hopper of the planter, you want to turn it and let it turn until it starts dropping. Yeah, I didn't do that on this row, and you can see I got about a 5-6 foot area there where it didn't plant anything because it still had to pick up seeds. So I went through with a hoe and I replanted those the other night. So those come up really fast, so they should be coming up anytime now. Okay, now we're up here at the field corn patch. As you can see, video probably doesn't pick it up quite as good as it is in real life, but this stuff is really taken off. This stuff, you can just about watch it grow. It's pretty funny when it first started spiking through. I mean, I noticed it one morning just spiking through, and I mean, you could see the row of it by the end of that day. So it'll really do good with this rain. I got my dead crow decoy out there to deter the crows away. So I've had them pull up the plant to get the kernel, and a patch this size, they can wipe it out in a matter of hours. But yeah, it really makes my heart feel good to to look out the window and see these rows of corn like this. And then the last garden here, everything, well, I don't have a whole lot planted in it, but everything's up. These first 2 rows here, which I don't know how well it's picking it up. We got sunflowers in these first 2 rows. And there's a toad out here. And these, I've got 4 rows of sorghum. Where, if you've never seen sorghum before, and this is grain sorghum specific, I've never grown the other kind, but it pretty much looks like just tiny little bitty tiny corn growing, planted real close together. But yeah, so everything's doing really good. I'm happy about everything. These sunflowers, I might have to come back and thin a little bit. I planted them with the planter with the corn plate, which the seed fit, it worked good. It planted a little heavy. So the rest of this, I'm going to be planting in pumpkins. I'll probably start the pumpkins in trays, and I'll probably start them in about 10 days, 2 weeks from now. We'll get them going and then get them planted. I'm guessing probably somewhere about 100 plants, maybe. Probably something like that. Maybe a few more. We'll see. But yeah, so that's the first garden tour of the year. I hope everybody liked that. I'm happy with the way things are going so far. So thanks to everybody for watching. I've picked up a few new subscribers here lately, so thanks everybody that subscribed. Glad you guys like the videos, and hopefully everybody out there has a great day, and I'll talk to you guys later.